is insulin suppression a real thing if you stay too strictly carnivore for too long?
Well, thank you very much for that, first of all. Not in my experience. I mean, it doesn't line up with our evolutionary history, with the what we observe in native populations like the Inuit, who are largely, if not exclusively, carnivorous by choice and also by circumstance. You're up in the North Pole, there really isn't anything else to eat. Now, people can say, well, they're eating fresh meat and there's glycogen. There's not actually all that much glycogen, and does it break down and it gets into lactate? You can hold down all that down that rabbit hole, but really what we're saying is we're eating the same thing, right? And so we're eating meat, and it has a certain amount of glycogen, it has a certain amount of other nutrients, and it has the physiological effects that it has. It doesn't, you have the Native Americans who are eating pemmican for most of the year. That's dried, so you're definitely going to get a breakdown of that glycogen into lactate, and so you can't really have that argument either. But either way, you get everything that you need from meat, and we don't see this type 1 expression in the Inuit. They have very, very healthy outcomes, and so you can't live generation after generation after generation if that were the case. And so maybe there's even in Dr. Saivi's experience, he's talking about isolated examples of people that have strange numbers on their tests, and like Dr. Baker said, they were otherwise very healthy. And there's a saying in medicine, which is you treat patients, you don't treat lab tests. And so having an isolated, or a few isolated examples of someone who has numbers on their blood tests that we don't really fully understand, but otherwise healthy, that's not necessarily a reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And in my experience, I haven't had even an isolated example of that in my clinical practice when people go on carnivore ketogenic diets. And we've had people on ketogenic diets a lot longer than just this recent iteration of a carnivorous ketogenic diet, a plant-free ketogenic diet. So this isn't something that really showed up. And so I agree with Dr. Baker that if this was true insulin suppression, we should see elevated blood sugars. We should see people having a sort of a type 1 expression, or a LADA, or some sort of sign of insufficiency. That if you have insulin insufficiency or suppression causing insufficiency, there should be consequences thereof, namely high blood sugar, ketoacidosis, those sorts of things. And I haven't seen that yet personally myself anyway.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, really happy to announce a new sponsor for the show and for everybody down in Australia, Stockman Steaks, who are delivering high quality grass-fed and finished pasture-raised beef and other meats, flash frozen and vacuum sealed to your door, something that I've been enjoying a lot of myself recently as well. They also have a great range of specialty items such as high-fat keto mince and carnivore beef and organs mince with liver, kidneys, and beef heart as well. So use code Chaffee today for a free order of beef mince or another specialty gift along with your order at stockmansteaks.com.au, and I'll see you over there. Thanks, guys.
I agree with both of you guys. Dr. Kiltz, how many cases of insulin suppression have you diagnosed and have you treated because of a carnivore diet?
If I saw someone with a low insulin level, I would suspect type 1 diabetes, and I haven't seen anyone on a carnivore diet. Although I've measured my insulin levels and glucose on a fast, and it's been less than 2 on a 3 to 5 day fast. And my glucose levels are between 45 and 55, asymptomatic and doing normal function. My theory about insulin is it's a digestive hormone. It rises when you consume amino acids and sugars, and it goes to the liver, and in the liver, it converts amino acids, sugars to fat. That's its job. If you're eating a high fat only, then, and although you likely should see a little bit of insulin because there is some sugar and proteins in fat, but I haven't seen that. And I suspect that, carnivore is the healthiest thing you could do, and it should be a fatty meat carnivore. And I enjoy fasting because you really get lower glucose, lower insulin levels, and you feel fantastic. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we all agree on that. Now, you brought up that when you eat anything, your insulin elevates. And so there's another thing that I've heard in the carnivore community, that there's a subset of a subset that's now recommending a lower fat carnivore diet, because if you eat too much fat, that can cause an insulin spike, which can slow down weight loss or fat metabolism, fat loss. I'll just go first and say first of all, that's not how human physiology works. You have a very small elevation in insulin when you eat fat. You have a much higher elevation when you eat protein, and then you have the insulin spike when you eat carbohydrates. Have any of you guys, and we'll go in alphabetical order, Baker, Chaffee, Kiltz, have you guys, does this make any physiological sense to you? Do you recommend a lower fat carnivore diet to anybody, anytime? And there may be exceptions to this, but we'll go with Dr. Baker first.
Yeah, I mean, just to your point on insulin and fats, fat stimulating insulin secretion. There was a recent cadaveric study looking at, they found recently deceased people, and they kept the beta cells alive, and they tested them against fat, protein, and carbs. They did find that about 9% of the cadavers, fat actually was quite potent at stimulating insulin. So I think there is a small set of population out there of people where they do get an insulin response due to fat. So it's not completely zero. Having said that, a carnivore diet is always going to be a high fat diet. Now, there are degrees of fatness, you might say. So some people will really thrive on very high ketogenic ratios. Other people, sort of thrive with maybe 60% of their calories coming from fat. That's similar to what I often do. So a ribeye steak, for instance, reasonably marble, is going to get you about 65% of your calories coming from fat. That is still a very high fat diet, but it is a lower fat carnivore diet. So that may be some of the misconception there. Going to like protein sparing modified fast levels is not consistent with, a carnivore diet. Certainly you can use it, and people can use that to lose weight, and people do from time to time. It's not sustainable. You're going to be dealing with hunger a lot, and it's not something that I like we said, there are all kinds of weight loss hacks for quick weight loss: sugar diet, carnivore diet, fat fasting, dry fasting, wet fasting, all kinds of things. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have to figure out something that's going to work for you over the long term. And if you're doing a carb reduced or essentially carb free diet, then you need adequate fat, and that's going to be, like I said, 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 1.5 to 1, somewhere in that range is probably going to be appropriate for almost all people.
Yeah, Dr. Chaffee, what do you think about this idea?
Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the Carnivore Bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products there will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right, thanks guys.
Yeah, so I think that it can certainly be dangerous. Honestly, I think that people can run into serious problems. There's many ways to skin a cat. Everybody knows you starve yourself and doing these sorts of things. You can lose weight. That's not really the point. The point is to gain health, and as you improve your health and increase your health, you will also normalize your body habitus and your body composition, and you'll lose fat if you have excess fat. But your weight and your body composition follows your health, and so that's why I always try to make that the most important thing that I prioritize with my patients, is that we're working on your health first, then body composition very distant second. And if you're working out and you're putting on lean body mass and you're losing fat, the scale may not change all that much. So people think that, like, wow, I'm not losing weight even though I feel good. And so you need to be aware of that. And then nowhere on that list, I tell my patients, nowhere on that list is your weight, because your weight does not say anything about your health or your body composition. And so it's about health first. And when you're cutting out all the fat and you're starving yourself, sure, you're going to lose weight, but it's not sustainable, as Dr. Baker said. What are you going to do long term? It's better to set yourself up for future success and set your habits up now for what you're going to be doing in the future. You should be doing the same thing now that gives you good health now, that you will be doing 5, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road. Something that's going to maintain those positive effects that you've had. Now, maybe it doesn't get you there as fast as you want them to, but slow and steady wins the race. I mean, this goes back to ancient Greece, right? You know, just look, stay on the path, do the right thing, even though it seems like it's taking longer, you'll actually get to where you want to go faster, better, more efficiently. It's also very important for people to realize that fat is not just a calorie source. It's not just something that's going to add to your total calories for the day. And maybe those calories need to be stored. They're essential nutrients. There's a set of essential nutrients. They're essential fatty acids you have to have or you can get sick and die. They're essential fat soluble nutrients that you have to have or you can get sick and die. And by eliminating those, you can actually hurt yourself. And I've had many people reach out to me that they have tried this this sort of short-term sort of diet. They paid thousands of dollars to go into these courses, and basically what they're told is do a carnivore diet, but mostly eat protein, low fat, and under 1,000 calories a day, and get outside and exercise. I have no doubt that that's going to make people lose weight, but it's also going to make them less healthy. And people are telling me that they're having serious health issues as a result of that. They're losing their hair, they're having other sort of serious issues as well, and that they have to break out of that. Okay, so you can't do that forever. What do you do? What do you go back to? You haven't taught them, how to live and how to eat properly. And so now they say, okay, well, I can't maintain this. I can't continue this. And when they do, they go back to sort of whatever they were doing before, and they sort of do that yo-yo diet. So I think that's an issue. Definitely agree with the idea that fat is not your main concern for insulin elevation. It has some properties where it will slightly raise insulin in some cases, but protein is going to do it a lot more. Carbs are going to do it a lot more than that. And so if we're worried about insulin specifically, fat is actually where you want to lean into. And from very quickly from a weight perspective, so something that was pointed out by Dr. Michael Eads. And he just pointed out that we're looking at this equation the wrong way. We're saying, well, there's 9 calories per gram of fat and 4 for protein and carbs, and that's sort of not exactly that. But what he pointed out was that we're looking at it the wrong way around, because calories don't weigh anything. Grams weigh something, and so it's actually 1 gram per 9 calories. So you get more bang for your buck, whereas actually 2.2 grams per 9 calories for protein and carbs. So if you want to pull in less weight, if you eat a pound of steak, your system will weigh 1 more pound, right? And so if you're eating lean and you have to eat 3 pounds to get the same calories, then you have to take in 3 pounds, whereas otherwise you take in 1 pound. And so you're actually bringing in less grams of nutrition into your body. So that's something to think about as well. But from an insulin standpoint, you should not have, fat is not what you need to worry about as far as insulin is concerned.